All right, how you guys doing? Say we about to hop into a reaction. First things first, though, man, make sure you like that video, dog. Get a little exit full screen. All of it. Like it. First screen about it. You feel me? So we got this video. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of similar to a Dr. Frank Turek presentations at the beginning. You know, I watched like a minute just to see what kind of video this would be. But we see this little quote right here. Everyone agrees that the universe looks as if it was designed for life. Paul Davies, physicist and scientist. Okay, so he's a pretty well-renowned physicist, right? What is his discovery? He has contributions to the Fulling-Davies, which is his name, and Uric effect, according to which an observer accelerating through an empty space will be subject to a bath of induced thermal radiation in the Bunch-Davies vacuum state. Also has his name in it, often used as the basis for explaining fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background. We check out his Britannica page. It describes his details. He joined Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose. Roger Penrose sounds slightly familiar. We all, I'm pretty sure, know Stephen Hawking, who are researching the thermodynamic properties of black holes. One of his top influential works is The Mind of God, which explores the connectedness of science and religion. It says nowadays he contributes to the scholarly and popular debate on issues such as the origin of life and extraterrestrial intelligence. He wrote a work, The Matter Myth, an argument against the idea of a Newtonian clockwork universe. I gotta check out what this is. So that's the deistic view that the universe is a perfect machine created by God and runs on its own, governed by the laws of physics. Right, so he wrote work against that, but also The Mind of God, which explores the connectedness of science and religion. And he was awarded the Templeton Prize of Progress in Religion for his attempts to resolve the dichotomy between science and religion. Served as director of Beyond Center for Fundamental Concepts in Science, a research institute and think tank invested in discovering the origins of the universe and its laws. The Goldilocks enigma, why the Earth or why the universe is just right for life, compares competing theories that profess to explain the universe's sustainability for life or suitability for life, including the assertion that the universe is one of many, each operating by different laws. Basically, if he did not agree with the Newtonian clockwork universe, then why? Or was he just a hater? And this quote is him taken out of context? Who knows? Anyway, we're going to check out the video.
Rare and how incredibly fine-tuned each constant is. I'll give you a couple of illustrations to illustrate this for you. Imagine that we were to take our North American continent and we were to stack so that there is not a single square inch anywhere on the continent that does not have a dime on it. In other words, we're going to get all kinds of dimes out and we're going to put them all over the entire North American continent so that every dime is touching every other dime and there's no spaces in between. Could you imagine how many dimes we're talking about? A lot of dimes. Now let's imagine that we begin stacking on each of those dimes, and we stack the dimes all the way, covering the entire North American continent, all the way to the moon. Okay? Sound good so far? It's not enough. Let's increase that by 1 billion times more. Now you're getting an idea of how many dimes we have. That's a lot of dimes, agreed? Now imagine I was to blindfold you and tell you that there is one red dime in that stack.
Picture this. You're sitting at home alone watching YouTube videos, wondering why you can't find the motivation to do.
All I need you to do is to pick it. What are the odds that you would pick the one red dime? Well, these are the odds in numerical list, 1 in a 10 to the 37th chance. That is the same level of precision that is involved in the strong nuclear force that holds together. If you're off by just a dime in either direction, we don't get a universe that supports life. If you're off by a dime in either direction, do you see how finely tuned this force is? Let me put it another way. What if I said all you have to do is to get a .22 rifle and hit this bullseye? Now the bullseye is 1 inch wide, and all you have to do is hit it. And I said, okay, that doesn't seem too hard, right? A lot of you are good shots here. You could probably hit that bullseye from wherever you are in the room. How many of you think no matter where you are in the room, you can hit that bullseye? Raise your hand. That's a lot of good shots. I'm going to get out of your way. But what if I told you that the bullseye was actually at the opposite end of the observable universe? 1 inch wide, opposite end of the observable universe. Now if you hit it, this is pretty wild. As a matter of fact, the odds are not great. It's a 1 in 10 to the 60th chance. And that is exactly what the calibration is of the mass density of the universe. 1 inch off the target in either direction, and you don't have a universe like ours. Do you see how finely tuned this constant is? This is why a theoretical physicist you might know from television says it this way. It's shocking to find out how many of our familiar constants of the universe lie within a very narrow band that makes life possible. If a single one of these accidents, he calls them accidents, did you see what he calls them? If a single one of these accidents were altered, stars would never form, the universe would fly apart, DNA would not exist, life as we know it would be impossible, Earth would flip over and freeze, and so on. He's being serious. And he believes that this level of fine-tuning is purely an accident. Isn't that interesting? It's amazing to me how many thoughtful, smart people are willing to ignore the fine-tuning of the universe and say it's just an accident. Really? So if Mickey Okaku was sitting at a poker table in Vegas, he's just sitting there playing cards, and the house deals his friends, two of his friends, and they finally deal him, and they say, okay, and they deal themselves. And Mickey was sitting over here, and he's like, yeah, okay, cool. Looks at his cards, he's going, oh gosh, I got a good hand here. I'm going to bet some money on this. And he bets everything he has, or everything he can think of, he puts it on the table. And then the house turns over their cards, and they've got a royal flush. Really? I thought I had a good hand. Now, in his mind, if he knew the odds of the house dealing themselves a royal flush from a single deck, that would be 10 to the 5.813, a 1 in 650,000 chance of dealing yourself a royal flush. That's why you should never play those poker machines and hoping for the royal flush. Oh, I've got 3 of the 5 cards, and you're going to actually hoping you get a 1 in 650,000 chance, really? So I can see, though, if he's playing cards here, and he might get frustrated and say, okay, well, and it does happen, right? I mean, maybe you've seen it. It's possible to get a royal, it's not that outrageous. Okay, so he stays in the game. And they deal a second hand. And now he looks at his second hand and he goes, oh my gosh, a straight flush. That's good, right? So what else can he puts his house on the line, okay? He mortgages his house, puts a bet. And sure enough, another royal flush. Really? What are the odds of somebody dealing themselves 2 consecutive royal flushes with one, really, you know what they are? They're this. I think at this point, most reasonable people would say, nay, nay. Something's not legit here. I'm out. But no, he's committed to his worldview, so he stays in. And sure enough, the house deals 3 royal flushes. What are the odds of this happening? Pretty high. Do you see our number so far? Well, that number, how does that relate to some of our universal constants? Let me show you the number, for example, of the strength of gravity, the calibration. I want you to see what this number is, just so you have a sense. How many royal flushes would you have to deal in a row to approximate this number? A bunch. It turns out you would need 6 royal flushes in a row to get to the calibration for gravity, which is, now, how many does it take to get to this calibration? This is the calibration necessary for quarks. I don't know anything about physics.
Notice how the gravity one, right? That's 1 in 10 to the 35. The other thing he was talking about, density, was 1 in 10 to the 60th. Barely even half. And that's multiplication, so I don't even think that's half. Right? That's insane. Let me pull that up, actually. I want to know. Notice how this is the only thing that pops up. Word on the street, fine-tuning of the universe. Fine-tuning of the universe, which you missed about the fine-tuning argument. Well, it's just 10 with 60 zeros after it, right? So yeah, not even half, because if you wanted half of 10, if you wanted half of 10 with 60 zeros out of it, you have to take 10 with 60 zeros, but it's 0.5 in 10 to the 60 zeros, and then you'll have it. So 10 to the 30, that's like a fraction. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I'm 100% sending this video to my friend because he loves poker, and he'll love this example or analogy, whatever you want to call it.
But this is the calibration necessary for quarks. I don't know if you know anything about physics. I won't go into all the details, but these are the kind of, I've written it out here for you. The masses associated with particles. This is really about the nucleus of the atom and how these hold together. You have to have a certain ratio of these. If it's too high or too low, you don't get atoms to form. Blah, 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 blah. But how do I get to this number? That's a high number. How many royal flushes am I willing to sit through? Well, it turns out you would have to have 12 royal flushes to approximate that number in a row. What about the precision required to calibrate the energy density of space? That's 10 to the 90th power. That means you got to sit at the table, and he takes that same deck of cards, and he deals himself not 12 in a row, but a bunch more in a row. So it seems to me, if Mickey Okaku is so committed to his worldview that he refuses to believe that something is... Are you really going to sit through that many before you say, get away from me, this is all a scam? There's no way you can deal that many... To deny that God, that something has fine-tuned the universe and the constants in the universe would be as stupid as sitting there and allowing somebody to deal themselves 28 royal flushes in a row and not get up from the table. No, if this happened to you, you're gone. 2 royal flushes in, you're gone, right? If it happens twice, you're out of there. Yeah.
It's funny because he loves poker, right? We was playing poker last night, and I won. I took like 2 people's not 2 people's all-ins, but I took a dude's all-in off of 3 of a kind. Right, and they're sitting there like, oh, 3 of a kind, really? That's scam. And this ain't even like you deal out all 5. We was playing Texas Hold'em, right, where the flop is there, and the river, and the turn. I think it's the turn, I don't know. But right, this is Texas Hold'em, and 3 of a kind beat him. Took his all in, and he was pissed. So imagine losing to a royal flush 28 times in a row. OD.
Yet these smart people would allow themselves to be dealt this 28 times and still say, yeah, this is the way it is. I guess I'm unlucky.
All right, so I was looking at this post from Debate Religion, right? Look at how long this thing is. Look at how long this is. I didn't read all this, right? I just went to the comments to see if he was spitting or not, right? And I was reading this, dude. I got down to here. It was like, I'm not sure you come to that conclusion that fine-tuning is overblown, because in physics, it just refers to a state of affairs with a physical model that has constants and parameters of significantly varying orders of magnitude in order to fit observations. The SCP article you cite notes that blah. I didn't even read that, but I'd read this one earlier. Let's say fine-tuning is needed or not, but what still created all these constants? What created the laws, the properties of the universe, the Big Bang? What happened before the Big Bang? Even if the universe is evolved from some other form, what created that form? So no matter how an atheist may deny the existence of these mysterious energies, they can't answer any of these questions, right? And I'm not saying that, you know, it 100% didn't happen, but you really got to think about it. If space is space, right? Let's take, for example, before the Earth was made 4.6 billion years ago, and you're thinking of the right before the Earth was created 4.6 billion years ago, 4.2, whatever, over 4 billion years ago. What happened before that? What is there before that? I mean, you want to call it the Big Bang, right? Rocks spinning around, protons exploding. Where did these things come from, right? And if you want to say, oh, there was another Big Bang before that, star exploded, boom, those led to here, those exploded after the fact. How many of these explosions would have had to going on? Do you really think it was just an infinite number of explosions going on? And I'm not saying that you can't believe that. I'm not shaming you if you do, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Like, for me, I was raised with Christianity, therefore I was already predisposed to it. And I had my doubts. You know, I won't say I still do, right? There's some things that I'm like, oh, science has a really good explanation for this. Science has a really good answer for this. But at the same time, I start thinking back to what would have done this, right? My friend called it a prime mover. If this water bottle drops to the ground, what had to happen for that water bottle to drop to the ground? If this earth formed, what had to happen for that? If that had to happen, what had to happen for that? And then you just keep taking that back and back and back. And sure, you may say time is infinite, but if it's infinite, could we have ever gotten here? And if it is infinite, you can't say that. Because to know that it's infinite, you would have to be outside of time to see that. God is outside of time. That's all I'm going to say about that. But, and then back to my point on science, whenever I see that science has a good answer for something, I think we defined what science is, right? And you could argue some of these constants are just constant. And to that, I would say, yes, you are correct, right? We can measure. If I push my water bottle with 15 newtons of force on this wooden table that has whatever number of friction, we can determine how far that water bottle is going to go based off the amount of newtons I push it with and how I push it at what angle, right? We can determine how far that water bottle is going to slide. We can determine how many newtons it takes of force to move that water bottle. But we discovered those constants, just like we discovered things like the Mandelbrot set, right? Where no matter where you zoom in on this, you will find an infinite number of things, right? You see how it just keeps going and going and going and going. All right, let's just keep going, right? We keep going. And they said, if you zoom in so far, not even like a super lot, like you just zoom in enough, you'll be somewhere that nobody else has been, right? Because let's take this little 4 pinwheel thing, right? How many pinwheels have we already been in? We've already been in like 8 pinwheels. Let's just take this pinwheel, right? This is our pinwheel. I can choose any of these pinwheels to go into. Let's choose this one. Now I'm in this pinwheel. I got all these other pinwheels. Let's go to this one. Oh, that's as far as it goes. How is there a maximum? Why is there a maximum? It's math. Keep mathing it. Or can we not? Is it not infinite? It is set. The Mandelbrot set has an infinite perimeter. Mandelbrot says it's a 2-dimensional fractal with an infinite number of smaller copies of itself. So as you could see, right, it called it a haunting beauty. There's things we don't understand. It's infinite, but how? We discovered it. But what made it? You think the universe, some 2 protons colliding or exploding or whatever, just created an infinite mathematic formula? I don't think so. A useful mathematic formula? I don't think so. A useless, or my bad, useful is in quotes because it's so specific. Behavior of the stock market and physical objects. So I guess you could use it Make yourself some money. Go play with it in the stock market, I guess. But all in all, like the royal flush example, even if it was just 3 royal flushes, you'd be sitting there like, nah, bro, you're cheating, right? Two, maybe. 1 in 600,000, twice, maybe. After the 3rd one, you're leaving the table. I don't care who you are. A little post-editing fun tip. My friend actually said, if somebody got 5 in a row, he's staying at the table just because he's like, nobody's ever done that before. And as long as he's not shuffling in a weird way, I'd want to be there to witness that history. Like I said, he really likes poker, but so I guess some people would stay for different reasons, but at the same time, crazy. Add 8 people to that table. That's upping the odds even more. Add 2 people, or put just you and the dealer at the table. I'm still leaving at 3. Even though the odds are less than if there were 8 people, I'm still leaving the table because it's clear that something is wrong with that. All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourselves fantastic rest of. Actually, no, I have a final point. I thought about this during the video. If that's true, if the universe really did, and people that have never heard the name Jesus, don't even speak a language that the Bible's translated in or anything, have never even imagined what Jesus is, can have dreams and visions about Jesus, and then come to find out that later and said, I knew it. That was what I saw in my dream. This is who it was. Right? And they have no background history. They couldn't have had a background history because the Bible isn't translated. They never had a person come to them from that whatever. Christianity should be a mental illness by that metric, right? All these people in history claiming that they saw burning bushes, people burned and did this guy healing people. All these people saying, oh, I saw him in a dream. I had visions about it. We should all be in mental hospitals, right? I believe in this because he said it. He said it. We should all be in mental hospitals if the universe really is random. Because why are all these people having the same shared delusion? This should be the most studied grand delusion of all time. This, Islam, Judaism, all of it. And they're all built off, the big 3 is all built off the same, even if not the law part of it, right? Because I guess Islam follows Ishmael, right? That's still Genesis. Same creation story. They still believe in Jesus. Why are everybody having these shared delusions? And why is all the 3 major religions of the world believe in a creation story? Something to think about. All right, that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourselves fantastic rest of your day. Peace.